How we doing, traders? I see in the chat, Bill calling me out, the bear in me. Is this a dead cat rally or not? We'll talk a little bit about that. And Joel, I think, said it best to me. What do you define a dead cat rally, Mitch? So we'll talk a little bit about that. Let's take a look at the travel stocks. We'll take a look at Carnival's move. We'll also, of course, take a look at the macro catalysts out there. Today, we got some Bullard comments. We got the University of Michigan survey of consumer. We'll take a look at Zendesk. We'll at least mention it. It hasn't moved really since the open, but what happened in the pre-market that really knocked it down? And of course, we can touch some earnings on FedEx. We could touch CarMax, and we'll take a look and talk about the Russell rebalance. Is this a high volume day? Not seeing the big volume right now, but we'll talk about that. Stay here, right here on At the Close. And of course, hit the like. Let's go.
All right, it is time for pre-market prep at the close.
3 consecutive highs, opened, matched yesterday's low, and then once it took out there, that's all the breakout momentum traders needed.
All right, what's going on, Joel? Did you see I changed? I couldn't do all that suit life.
I called him a suit.
He
I
called me a suit. Yeah, he did. He jumped on in there real quick and was like, "Yo, dude, you went suit on me?"
We're gonna have to find some bum. I mean, first of all, you shaved, then you got a haircut, and there you wear a sport coat. I mean, the next thing, I don't know, who knows? You're gonna come on the show with a bow tie or something.
Hey, I could rock a mean bow tie, Joel. You don't want me to get started on the bow ties.
All right, let's recap this session here, and
Yeah, let's do that.
This is a Friday to remember here. Going back, we do the SPYs and we do the S&Ps, but just want to show you here. 2 weeks ago, we had to close at 3,950, right? And we had this gap in the futures, very
get the
unusual.
Charts, my friend?
I did it again.
Charts.
Put me aside the head here.
Hit the like for the charts out there.
There we go. So you had this gap down, right? Kind of the end of the, well, who knows if it's the end of the move, the capitulatory move. We closed at 3,950 that day. We had a 96.50 low. We gapped down, and I'm going to use a dirty word. We gapped and crapped. And we went down, and now we come back and fill this gap. And, now the question, very good question, we'll debate it back and forth, is this just another dead cat bounce, or are we under, some kind of meaningful rally? For you SPY traders out there, the spider's still kind of gappy. So I'll just go to my regular ADS chart and tell you, like I told you, 44.50 was the high on the Fed day. The close 2 weeks ago was 3,950. So sure like to see us close in the 3,900 handle. Actually, 3,900 is the high of the session. Crude participating in a big way, up 314 at 107.41. So getting back some of those losses from earlier in the week. Gold down a $1.30 at 18.25 and a half. Silver back over 21, man. I've never seen silver and gold diverge like this. But anyways, it's up a dime at 21.15. Bitcoin, sleepy Bitcoin. I tell you, one thing that I learned in my trading days is you're never short a sleeping market. So you don't necessarily have to be long Bitcoin, but man, oh man, I'm kind of surprised it's not rallying today with the market. But Ethereum futures, now there's where you're going. They're up $93. That's 8%. That's up 12.15 in the at 12.15.50, and Ethereum has actually been the leader here. So, man, if I had to put on a bullish Bitcoin or a bearish Bitcoin hat on, I'd have that bullish one on. So that's what I'd be. Tight stop, maybe give it to 18,000 here for a little swing trade or something. But that's what I'm looking at in the commodities and futures.
All right, Joel, we'll give you maybe what some Bitcoin investors were looking at today. I did see mentions of Celsius actually looking into bankruptcy. And so they're
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that might be why you didn't see too much of reaction there. So I think you're going to see more and more questions on platforms on how they're going to attack liquidity issues if they come into play, and I think you're going to see more and more investors putting on the red flag and saying, "Well, I might have to remove my money from the platform because it's just starting to become too much of a risk to at least leave it in the
Access it.
platforms."
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
uh,
it's
yeah,
not backed, right? It's not,
yeah,
depending on the size of your account. And then, man, the last thing, man, you want to be able to access your account, man. You don't want to
yeah.
have to, you know,
let's
you,
just let's compare it to like if it happened in stocks. What would you do if TD Ameritrade was like, "No, you can't touch your money. We're locking this up, and you can't get to your money." I would freak out. I would lose it. I didn't know. I
uh,
wouldn't know what to say, and so I think that definitely is causing some signs of concern.
all right, let's get to some stocks
Let's go to the
as
stonks. Let's go to the stonks. All right. So
let's
first thing
go to
is
Zendesk. Let's go over that one
let's
first.
let's do that one. Yeah, because it's real simple here. It seemed a little bit more of a story here in the pre-market, but going into the market open, we really got kind of more clarification on this, right? I think it's important to try to get that clarification. And what happened here was a classic buy the rumor and a little bit of that
Yeah.
sell the news kind of thing, right? And I think that's definitely important. Zendesk shares were trading up 50% after there was a rumor about a takeover in the Wall Street Journal. Then quickly after that, we actually got the news hitting the tape there. And then in Zendesk, they got acquired by an investor group for 10.2 billion. The deal was led by investment firms Permita and Hellman's Freeman, which gave shareholders $77.50 per share, a premium of about 34% from the closing price on Thursday. And you can see that wild ride in the after hours. And then when that news hit, boom, you could see it really getting hit down.
Yeah, I looked at it and those kind of things, just instinct. Of course, you can't short those things, but like let there was just a lot of premium in there. So there it is. They're putting a little risk factor in the deal here, not much, trading at 74.19. So that's off the board. And then we just talked about, you'd like to look at other issues here that's helping the Splunkster, that's having a good day, that's up 528. Some of the other cloud, what were some of the other cloud names that we mentioned? I don't know if we mentioned
Coop,
Okta, but Sean mentioned that Coop.
Coop.
So,
I
yeah,
just think Koopa Troopa, but that's just
yep,
because I'm
there
old
they
school.
go. So, we just passed 3,900, folks. We are now in a whole new handle, 3,900. Who would have thunk it?
All
Crowd. Dan
right.
Back says crowd. How did crowd do today? Ooh, good day for crowd here. I don't know why I had those lines there. Maybe that because I thought it was resistance. Now it's support. But okay, we can move on that. Zen's not a heavily fouled stock, I think, by our chat, but it's worth mentioning the price action.
All right, let's go. Let's go a little bit macro here. Let's talk a little bit about the University of Michigan survey of consumer, and slightly before that, St. Louis Fed President Bullard saying that he favors front-loading the rate hikes to contain inflation. He said also that it's a little bit early to have the debate about recession probabilities in the U.S. And then shortly after that, 10 a.m. The University of Michigan survey consumer said that consumers expect inflation to rise to 5.3 annualized rate at the end of June. This is down from a preliminary reading of 5.4. Overall, consumer sentiment, though, has fallen to a record low, hitting 50, and that is 14.4% below May's reading of 58.4.
So, I don't brag about Michigan enough. Is it the
Let them know.
is it the Ohio State University Consumer Sentiment Survey?
I
Is
don't
it
think they
the
have one.
Michigan State? No, man, because all the data comes out now. They've been actually. I took some classes in there. I don't know how I did on them, but anyways, I was actually I almost took a head fake on that one because we were blasting off. I'm like, okay, they're just pumping this up, to slam it off this consumer sentiment. And I had some stops in to go, to initiate on a downturn, and good thing they didn't get triggered because that just blasted off. And I think that you're pointing out Buller's comment as well. So it was just a perfect storm here
Yeah.
for a rip roaring rally.
Do
The Friday moves closing on the high for the week. Just a pattern, but definitely started off the 6 p.m. open. The 9:30 opening buyers
mhm.
continued. The 10 o'clock number buyers continued, and you know what? They're not stopping yet. Here we are, continuing to make new highs for the session.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering, do we close that gap there? We're almost there.
You
I've been
see,
really
I have
focusing
such a
towards
hard
that.
time with because like you see your gaps there are different than my
Than your gaps.
gaps.
That's the truth, and this is where we start fighting each other. But I've been watching that gap. The low there is
89.75.
you got it, and that's what I've been watching. I literally have gotten that filled since before this morning. I was looking to see if we get up there. So looks like we're getting
See,
on up
isn't my
there.
chart so much cleaner? Look at
Yeah.
that. Just one
Um,
little gap there. Just so
Yeah.
much cleaner. But, whatever. Different strokes for different folks, right? Whatever you people want to
That's
follow. But to
that's
me,
exactly it.
to me, the gap is filled. So, Mitch, I mean, let's, before we do more of individual issues
Mhm.
here, let's, let's discuss this. Is this a dead cat bounce? What are you looking
Yeah.
for? You're shorting today, tomorrow, the next day? I mean, what are your expectations for the move? And I'll tell you how I look at it, how I'm thinking about it, and the one negative thing that I see about the rally. But what are you looking for that gap fill before you do the shorting, or what's your take on the rally?
Yeah, so a lot of times what I'm looking for and trying to distinguish if it's a dead cat rally or if it's just in a rally overall is how did we come out of this, right? Where did we begin? And so to me, if you take a look there on that spy, this kind of looks like more of one of those kind of V bottoms. And whenever I'm seeing kind of more of a V bottom on the chart, that's already going to give me sign that it's more of a sharp rally back. And when we get sharp rallies back, at least in a bear market, that goes under the definition of bear market rallies. Now, what are some of the signs that we can look for to say that, okay, well, maybe this is a complete bottoming versus a bear market rally? One of the things that I'm looking for, and I'm focusing on market breadth data here, and it's going to lag. Market breadth always lags. And so you guys can tell me that. But I'm looking at SMA 50 because it's going to be a little bit closer, and then SMA compared to the 200. I do this often, and the reason why I'm looking for that is that a lot of the times what's going to happen is that by the time it shows up on the SMA 200, I think that's when you'll actually get that complete rallying back where everyone's getting kind of out of the bear mode. Another thing to focus on is the extreme of the crowd, right? And I think that everybody was extremely bearish going into Monday. And until that kind of changes, until the macroeconomics environment changes, I'm going to still be viewing this as dead cat rallies. Another thing is using patterns. I talked about this pattern when you guys got off, but I was talking about it and I kind of showed it here. I'll show you guys it exactly. We got this pattern before where we came up to resistance, we rejected resistance and came back down. Then we were in a tighter zone here. We ended up bouncing out of this zone with a sharp bear market, a dead cat rally. So sharp up slope going into the resistance. And then what happened there? We came right into the prior resistance, which is kind of more of a trend line down here from this downside action. And we rejected there multiple times in the 416s and then boom, right back down. And so when we're getting that sharp up move and then sharp down moves, those show me more and more how we're in a bearish tape. And this is the bearish market for me. Until we see a rally come up to that resistance, then go through the first level resistance, which we're doing today, and then take out the second level resistance, that's when I'll go ahead and I'll turn a little bit and be more in the bullish camp. But that would mean it goes past 410s, a little bit above 410s there. And if we can get to like maybe 415s, that's where I would change and to be like, okay, now I can be more into the bullish, because you also start getting into a longer term trend line on the weeklies, and you'll start breaking out of the weekly trend line. And I think, I have a lot of lines here for you guys to look at. But if you see here, the actual trend, we've had these pops on up, but the trend is still on a downtrend right now, even if you draw it from the peak there in April, coming on down from the last kind of bounce back up. So,
Okay.
of course,
you said a lot there, Mitch.
yeah,
You
yeah,
said
yeah.
a lot.
So there's a couple things that I'm looking for, right? So we need to see the market breadth change. It's at 14.6 SMA 200. I need to see that over 25%, because it got as low as 13%. And it's in the times when we were in a bullish market, this was over 30 or 40%. And so we're still not seeing the overall market rallying back. Yes, we're seeing some days where we get sharp rallies back, but it doesn't consistently stay in all the stocks. And leadership is coming back a little bit. That gives you a good sign. But the question is, are we in for more macro related economic news to the downside?
Right. I mean,
What do you determine a dead cat bounce, Joel?
I
What would
mean,
you say?
well, I mean, first of all, just kind of, not being like in and out with like the portfolio, like Dennis's cash, no cash and everything. I pretty much stay fully invested all the time. So,
Mhm.
I'm maybe a intraday bear all the time, but, a perma bull. So I'd like to see a major turn in the market. But for me, I mean, we have had a 1,200 point break in the market. That is big. Okay. So I can't even think, like, this is just such I mean, yeah, it's a big rally today. Yeah, it's a big rally this week. But before I start trying to pick any kind of tops or any kind of reversals up here, I mean, right now, like 4,200. I mean, I can't even really think about, look at the way we sliced down through that area, and now look at the way we're going back up through that area. Also, you got all those things you said. You didn't incorporate any fundamentals. We're coming into earnings season. Everyone is
Mhm.
expecting a poor earnings season. Maybe if the earnings season doesn't come in as bad, a lot of companies lowered expectations. They're going to rip this market. Also, what if you get a benign CPI data in the middle of the month? I mean, there's too many. I just like, there may be a turn. We're definitely in a bear market from the way the market turned. But to me, I mean, I'm just like, "Whew," I've gotten tagged enough trying to short the market when it comes off bottoms. I need to see it rally up to a level, consolidate at a level, take a little breather, and then move out of the consolidation. Right now, I'm seeing a move over 3,800, blasted through 3,900. Could we be at 4,000 tomorrow, 4,100 on Tuesday? 4,200 on Wednesday. Who knows with this market? So
Yeah.
fundamentals will play a role. Will play a role. I'm not going to stand in the way of it yet, but there's a turn. There's a major turn here. You have people now that missed. Oh, did I miss the bottom? Did I miss? So now you can have
Mhm.
people buying on dips. So,
Yep.
right now there's just absolutely no sign of consolidate. A top. I don't have a top. Next daily high I have to lean on is 4,000. That's a long ways away, man. I can't, so I'm not going to step out on that. So, and then it's bullish as talk I'm trying to give there. I really don't like the volume today. The volume is bad, and we still have 10 minutes left, and I don't know what's going to happen to Russell rebalancing, but they're floating it up here. We traded. This is going to be the lowest volume day of the week. In order for me to get the Super Bowl hat on, I mean, if we were going to trade like 2.5 million today, then I could, I'd feel better. But right now, it doesn't even look like we're going to trade 1.3 or 1.4 million. So I know you use the SMA and all that different stuff. To me, the biggest negative about this rally is that it's low volume, and that's not what you want to see on big up days. But let's let's cover. We got imbalances. We just
Yeah,
got to pop
let's
to
go.
0675. Do you have the imbalances for me?
Yeah, I'll get that up for you right now as I'm
Okay.
pulling that
It
up.
looks I
Let's
have a
go.
feeling they're a little bit to the buy side. You just got
Mhm.
that pop over to 0675. So maybe I don't know if you're buying today on the close. Well, whatever. Maybe you're looking at the next daily high over 4,000 here. Oh my god, I can't believe that. The next daily high was at 4,030. And let me see if there was an intraday high in here on the 10th, on the June 10th. June 10th, the intraday high. I mean, the next number I could give you is 39.5950. So if you want to risk, 50, 60 points on the upside, that's your next daily high. So, and also we got the rebalance coming. We'll see what the fireworks on the close are. Were there any, do you want to do a few stocks that we had on our
Yeah, I
sheet
wanted to take
or
a look at the banks today because that was the strongest sector. So let's
yeah.
take a look at that. And one of the things that you kind of mentioned there and that I'm keeping watch is revisions of earnings. I think is there definitely important to kind of keep on watch. But man, what a bounce back there! And this all coming off of the heels of the bank stress test, right? All the banks tested positive or tested safe there at least for the time being, and all the kind of standards that were in place after the financial crisis. So I think investors saw that and jumped on some of the bank train today.
Yeah, and I just think it's the whole, recession on, recession off kind of thing. So,
Hmm.
if we're not going to a full blown recession, I was looking at this Bank America this morning because I just like the liquidity in it, and it gave you, it had some low risk entries there. It's a nice move, but I mean, you sure can't be, super happy about the price action, the rebound in those. If you think they're gonna play some catch up there, then maybe. But if you want more bang, you got your lows of the move. Relative strength wasn't great. That stress tests were all fine,
Hmm.
but what their actual moves are gonna come out on Monday, right? So if they're raising, how the market likes raising dividends and all those kinds of things, then that's the information that you'll get on Monday. And they're laggards, and just not as much bang for your buck as you get in some of the big tech stocks.
Yeah, it looks like I got imbalances, but I actually have them to the sell side, 320
Well,
million. So
furlough range says 3 billion to buy. I mean, if there's a day not to be playing imbalances with the Russell imbalance and everything,
yeah.
well, I know it's different, but no, we're just ripping. I mean, there's just no offers in here. I mean, it's just
Um,
the way we're floating
I
up.
I think we should give a shout out to Tim Seymour. Why?
Yes,
Because of
yes.
Meta and Netflix mentioned this morning. Let's take a look at those two. Shout out to Tim Seymour for sure. He mentioned how this was important that it was getting put into the value, the 1,000, the Russell 1000 value index, and you can see here, Meta and Netflix. Great day for them.
Yeah, could you ever think that would be into the going into the value index? So a lot of these stocks, came back to reasonable valuations. Square probably having another good day. PayPal coming a good day. Kathy's probably having a good day. Up a buck 79. We've been talking about the good relative strength in Kathy for a long, long time. I'd say you traders here, the top of the range is coming up. So heads out for 46.94. Really only one high there, but that was the last high. So working on a green monthly candle after a long, long way down. And Meta, I mean, it got to its lowest level since April of 2020, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
if you were looking, it got back. This is April right here. If you feel like you missed it in a pandemic, I know Jar Jar was talking about that. I know it undercut the low of the move yesterday and caught some people off guard here. But man, oh man, I mean, you want to be short this thing now after if that kind of move. So we'll see. The Kramer was pretty good timing with with having Zuckerberg on the other day.
All right, less than 5 minutes here. Can we get to that, fulfilling that shadow fill? We'll see what happens there. That'd be the 389.75
I say
level.
no in the spider, but I don't care about it. I'm looking at the S&P.
Yeah, we could definitely take a look at it. Let's go to the cruise lines because they definitely moved. Travel stocks
Sleepy.
getting the little bit of a lift action there. Let's talk a little bit about what happened there. It was all kind of on the basis and heels of Carnival Cruise Lines coming
Yes.
in here. They also they provided a Q2 business update. Revenue increased by nearly 50% in Q2 compared to Q1 in 2022. Occupancy was in Q2 was 69%, an increase from 54% in the prior quarter. They stated the best quarterly booking volume since the beginning of the pandemic. And it looks like that started boosting up some travel demand. At least investors saw that.
Right. Yeah, there you go. That was the report. It was sleepy, under 10
Mm-hmm.
bucks. Just, picking up trash on the ground, stuff that hadn't moved yet, getting back close to pre-pandemic levels. The reopening trade, is it back? I mean, I think the higher oil prices kind of put a damper on that. But a good report there from CCL that's moving RCL as well. I mean, that one
Well,
had
it
a
moved everything.
2-for-1 stock split. I mean, for these, I'd say, dead cat bounce, or did you hit another major low in these time? People want to get out. People want to do things, right? And that's the mentality coming up on a busy summer. This is why the whole time you're talking recession, recession, recession. When I see all these job openings and people wanting to travel, it's like, well, maybe there's a recession coming, but I don't know if it's coming tomorrow.
I got to thank Dennis, my man, could put one on my radar this morning about the Russell rebalance. Let's talk a little bit about that. And one of those was Airbnb. And when I started seeing Carnival Cruise Lines going on up, I was like, you know what? Maybe I take a look at Airbnb. And kapow, not a bad day there for the Airbnb, getting back above 100. What do you see there, Joel?
Boom. I don't know what the imbalance is going to be on this one. But
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a level here, and I'll tell you the level where you're going to send, what would give me more confirmation that this is a leg higher. 104.29. What do we hit? Look at that. 3 highs right in that area. I don't
Yeah.
know what we hit today on it, but I could definitely see what the high is today. But if we definitely get through there, I could see another leg higher in Airbnb. 104.18. I see 104.89. So right in that, yeah, right there, trying to bust out. I'd maybe give it to 104.89 because that was actually the high for the week. Rallying right into the close here, Mitch. When there's no resistance, there's no resistance. I don't know if the spiders are going to get to your magic level there, but man, the Bears are in hibernation today. Who knows what can happen on Monday?
We'll see what happens. I did want to maybe kind of just talk, just putting a warning symbol out there a little bit because I've been seeing this too much and hitting the headlines this week. Earlier in the week, we got headlines with Ford, right, and their EMOC and struggling there with a safety recall. Did you catch the Toyota Motors one?
No.
Okay, so Toyota's Motors shares slipping after they recalled first mass-made all-electric vehicles. They launched 2 months ago. And they pulling this back because of the risk of the wheels coming loose. Kind of a big important thing when you're driving a vehicle, but a setback is also set on Subaru Corporation here too, which Toyota nearly owns 20% stake there. And they also are recalling 2,600 units of the Slotera, and Toyota's recalling 2,700 of the BZ 4X SUV globally. So a lot of trouble out there in the EVs.
And you got your gap fill.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can we not? How do we keep getting the same message every day?
Oh, it's just how it is sometimes, you know.
We gotta get that person. We gotta get that out of there. All right. Anyways, we got your gap fill, Mitch. Went to 390.09.
Oh, look, we got it.
All right, man. I'm gonna have to redo that. I think this is one of these times when I do my
The
level sheet.
stars, the stars I just
Yeah, well,
erased.
sometimes I just have to copy and paste, to move, to because the levels are in range. Well, this is what I'm doing with the one from today because
100%. I agree with you. You know
I'm gonna
what?
have to start fresh
Rip
here.
it
So
up. Rip
rip
it
it
up.
up.
Throw it out of
Absolutely.
here.
There's no such
Get
thing
it
as
out.
resistance in this market. So, all right, and it was a great week. Probably one of our best weeks since March. So we're good. We'll just have to see what happens and what happens over the weekend. And I don't know. I just want to take one last look at the S&P volume, and we'll have fun going over those Russell rebalances, the S&P volume on the day, just to give you a perspective on this. 1.4 million. That's our lowest volume day of the week. And you had to roll over in contracts, so it's a little bit harder to determine. But that's where we're at, folks. So everyone have a great weekend, and back with you on Monday.
Have a great weekend. Like always, guys, we'll continue with the great guests that we've been bringing on Pre-Market Prep. If you guys have been missing those interviews, definitely do not miss them. We get to some great stuff. I got to give a shout out to Stephanie Link earlier in the week. Definitely Tim Seymour this morning. So definitely killing it with some great kind of outlooks. And one of the things that I think is important is kind of watching how the flow goes from Monday to Friday. So definitely check out some interviews over the weekend. Check how you're seeing the news flow being put out there. I'll try my best to also get out some of those interviews, maybe just so you guys can recap them and talk about them. Like always, I'll keep going and looking over the market. I might see you guys on Sunday. Might do a little chart watching. You guys let me know if you guys want to see that. Throw it up in the comments. Have a great weekend. And like always, guys, keep working on your skills to better yourselves as traders. The same way I'm doing, same way you guys do it. Keep battling out there. And I'll see you next week. Hit that like button before you get on out of here, guys. Let me know. What are you guys liking about pre-market prep? What are you guys liking about at the close? What do you guys want to see more on Benzinga? I'm trying to do my best to give you guys more. So if you guys have some opinions or some feedback, hit the comments or hit me up on my email or DM me, whichever way you guys want. Mitch at Benzinga. I'm going to be working hard for you guys. You guys let me know what you guys want to see.